Are you ready to play one of Metallica's most epic and emotional songs? Today we're covering Nothing Else Matters, from that haunting intro riff to the soulful solo. Did you know James Hetfield wrote this for his girlfriend while on tour, never expecting it to become a global hit? Stick with me though, and I'll break it down for you step by step, for beginners and pros alike. Let's crank it up. We're going to cover that iconic intro, the easy chords for the verses, and that killer solo. So grab your guitar. I'm going to be using my trusty axe, the Dean MAB1, with the Xvive A58 Guitar Wireless system for total freedom. Link in the description. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, and let's get started. Let's get our guitars in tune. We're going to be tuning up to standard tuning, which is EAD GBE. Let's get started with the intro riff. This is that beautiful finger-picked melody that everyone knows. It's based around the E minor chord, and it's easier than it sounds. Watch closely. The right hand's going to be doing finger picking. We've got P-I-M-A. That's Pima. These are Spanish terms known as thumb, index, middle, and ring. And I'm going to be using the thumb for all of the notes that are on the E, A, or D string, and then my index finger will control the G string, my middle finger will control the B string, and my ring finger will control the E string. So if you stick with that format, that'll help you out through most of the song. We're going to start it out on the 6th string, to the 3rd, to the 2nd, to the 1st, back to the 2nd, and back to the 3rd. You've probably already tried this before. It's pretty straightforward, but use your finger picking like this. We'll play it 3 times like that. For the first part of measure 4 here, it's exactly the same as measures 1 through 3 until we hit the final beat, and we're going to play the 7th fret on the E string here, the high E string. We're going to pick the 6th string, 3rd, 2nd, 1st, 2nd, then the 7th fret of the high E string. As we move into measure 5, we're going to pick the E strings simultaneously while holding the 7th fret on this high E string. Same time there, then we'll go to the 2nd string, 3rd string, back to the 2nd string and 1st string at the same time. I'm going to use my middle finger and ring finger to pick that, and pull off with the 7th fret to the open string. Then back to the 2nd string here, and the 3rd string. Let me walk you through that slowly from measures 4 through 5 here. With this intro being so iconic, I want to break it down into small chunks and practice them several times before moving on to the next couple of measures. So right now let's practice measures 4 and 5 at 50% of the goal tempo 4 times through, and then 60% and then 70% of the goal tempo 4 times through. For measure 6 now, we're going to pick both E strings at the same time again. Go to the 3rd string next with the open string, and we're going to come up to the 7th fret of the E string again here on the high E, and pick the E and B strings at the same time. Then go to the 8th fret and pick those strings at the same time. Now we've got a tricky hammer pull-off situation from 7 to 8, back to 7, and then to the 5th fret of the E string, so watch this carefully. So if you're not great at hammer-ons and pull-offs, you probably want to practice that a few times. Pick the 7, hammer the 8, pull to 7, then pull off to 5. Then for measure 7, we're going to pick this 7th fret again with the open B string at the same time. Then we're going to pick the 5th fret of the 1st string and slide to 3, then to the open E string. Once again. Measure 6 and 7 slowly. Alright, let's play along together now in measures 6 and 7, once again at 50% of the gold tempo 4 times through, then 60%, and then 70% of the gold tempo 4 times through. Get ready. Now let's have a play along of measures 4 through 7 combined, and let's take it at 50% of the gold tempo, then 60, and then 70% of the gold tempo, but this time I'm only going to take it through 2 times each. Get ready. Now let's take a look at measures 8 through 11. In these 4 measures, we're going to use this chord frame that requires the use of the ring finger and the pinky on the G string and the B string respectively, and I'm going to use that at the 5th fret for this here, but in the upcoming measures we're going to need to use this index finger for the bass notes. So So you're going to want to get comfortable with this fingering here. And starting it off on measure 8, we're going to use the open A and the open E string simultaneously together here. And then we'll pick through the 3rd string, the 2nd string, and we'll do this pull off on the high E string at the 2nd fret to the open E there, then back to the 2nd string and 3rd string. So one more time on that measure 8. Then in measure 9 we'll be using the same finger placement here, and we'll go to the A string, the G string, the B string, to the open E there. Then we're going to use that chord frame I just talked about. We'll pick all 4 of these strings at once. The 5th string, 3rd, 2nd, and 1st. Then change the bass note to the 2nd fret of the A string. And in the next measure, we're going to go to the 3rd fret of that A string. So there's that walking bass line right there. Let me do that one more time. And after we hit that chord on the beginning of the 10th measure, we're then going to go through this pattern here of the A string, G string, B string, G string, while holding that chord. Then I'm going to move my index finger down here to the 1st string at the 3rd fret and pick that to a pull-off of the open string. Then I'm going to pick the 2nd string again and the 3rd string again. So I'll hit that chord first. Off. Then going into the next measure, we'll hit this chord one more time and slide up to the 5th fret with the same shape. And after sliding into this chord in measure 11, we're going to do the same picking pattern we did in measure 10. It'll be the A string, the G string, the B string, back to the G string. Then we're going to do an open E hammer pull to the 5th fret. I'm going to let go of all that and use my index finger now. Then I'm going to do the 7th fret of the B string and pull off to the open B. Then pick the open B again and hammer onto the 5th fret. So once again on measure 11, starting with the chord. Let's get some practice in on measures 8 through 11 with a play along now of 50% of the goal tempo. Let's take it through 2 times, and then 60% and 70% of the goal tempo. Let's go. All right, there's one more measure we need to go over, which is measure 12, and it's a simple little thing that happens here. We're going to pick the 6th string open, and then we're going to do 3 natural harmonics. And if you don't know how to do that, I'm going to do it at the 3rd string at the 12th fret, and you just barely touch the string above the fret marker, which is the stainless steel bar in this case. And you barely touch it and release like that. And then we're going to do the B string like that too. and the E string. And then you do the second string open and the third string open. And that's the whole thing. So once again like this here. And after we do that, it's going to be just like the beginning again. We're going to do just the open strings with the sixth string starting it off to the third, second, first, second, third. And we'll do that 3 times through. It's time to play along with the first 15 measures now. That's the entire first intro. Let's take it at 70% of the goal tempo, 1 time through. Get ready. Now let's cover the second intro section, which is using only bar chords. So if you know your bar chords, this is going to go along pretty quickly. Let's get started. Measure 16 is starting off with an E minor bar chord. So if you already know that shape, starting at the 7th fret of the A string, we're just going to form that right there. If you don't know it, let me go over it real quick. We've got 7, 9 with the ring finger, 9 with the pinky, and then middle finger on the 8th fret of the B string, and this is going to bar the first string here. So that's barring all 5 strings there. And the picking pattern is going to be the thumb on the open E string, then the thumb on the A string and the D string. Then we'll do the index finger on the G string, then the middle and ring simultaneously on the first 2 strings. One more time. In measure 17, we're going to be using a major bar chord shape from the A string down. This will be a D major bar chord starting at the 5th fret of the A string, and with the ring finger we're going to want to bar the D string, G string, and B string, holding those all down at the same time. And the picking pattern across this is going to be the A string with your thumb, the D string with your thumb, and then the index and middle finger at the same time on the 3rd and 2nd string. And we're simply going to shift that chord down 2 frets to the 3rd fret here and the 5th fret with the ring finger barred, and do the same picking pattern. Alright, one more time on measure 17 here. There will be no pause between those 2 chords when we get going. They're straight 8th notes. That bar chord sequence you've just learned gets repeated 2 more times, and then that's going to take us to measure 22 with a different bar chord, which is G major, and we're going to start that at the 3rd fret of the 6th string. My ring finger will be at the 5th fret of the A string, pinky on the 5th fret of the D string, middle finger on the 4th fret of the G string, and that bar remains across the 3rd fret there. Now the picking pattern I'm going to use is the thumb on the E string, thumb on the D string, then the index and middle finger on the G and B string at the same time. Okay, one more time. Then we're going to go to this A-type bar chord that we used previously, which is at the 2nd fret now of the A string, and we'll be barring the 4th fret from the D string down with our ring finger, and this is the same picking pattern as before, which is the thumb on the A string, thumb on the D string, and then the G and B string at the same time with index and middle finger. One more time on that chord. That whole measure now. Then we end off this section with the same open string picking pattern 2 times through. Now let's have a play along of this second intro section, which is measures 16 through 24. Let's take it through one time at 70% of the gold tempo. Get ready. Now I'm going to take you through the rhythm guitar part of the verse section, which can be used in every other verse after this. So as daunting as this may seem, stick with me on this, because once we learn these measures of this first verse, we'll be able to use them again and again in the verses after this one. The verse section is based loosely on 5 open position chords, so let's go over those quickly so you'll know what they are. They're going to start with E minor here, and we're going to be at the 2nd fret of the A string and the 2nd fret of the D string, and on this one you'll strum all 6 strings. Then we're going to go to the D chord next. You're going to start with the open D string, and then you're going to be at the 2nd fret of the G string, 3rd fret of the B string, and 2nd fret of the high E string, strumming only 4 strings. Next is the C chord. We're going to start on the 3rd fret of the A string, 2nd fret of the D string, and 1st fret of the B string. Don't strum the 6th string with this one. That sequence will be repeated 2 more times, and then we'll switch to a G chord, and we're going to use this shape here. We'll be at the 3rd fret of the E string, 2nd fret of the A string, down here at the 3rd fret of the B string, and 3rd fret of the high E string, and strum all 6. And next we've got a B7 chord. We're going to be at the 2nd fret of the A string, 1st fret of the D string, 2nd fret of the G string, and then 2nd fret of the high E string, and don't strum the 6th string on this one. Measure 25 gets repeated in measures 27 and measure 29. So once you've got this measure memorized, it's going to cover a lot of ground for you. So pay attention here. We're going to start with the 6th string open, to the 3rd string open, 2nd string open, to the 3rd fret of the 1st string there. Then we're going to speed up on a 16th note pattern, starting with the 3rd string open, 1st string open, 2nd string open, and 3rd string. Alright, that's the whole thing. Let me walk you through it here slowly. So that measure was based around the E minor chord. Now we're going to be using the D shape and the G shape in this measure, starting it off with the open D string and the 2nd fret of the high E string played together, then the open D string by itself. Now go to the G shape by placing your ring finger at the 3rd fret of the B string and your pinky on the 3rd fret of the high E string, and we'll pick the 1st string, 2nd, 3rd, and then we'll go ahead and put our 3rd finger down on the A string here and play that together with the open E string, then to the B string, G string, then we'll do a little walk down here on the 6th string, 3rd fret to the 2nd fret. Okay, slowly, one time through here. Follow me along now for a play along of measures 25 and 26. We'll take it at 50% of the gold tempo, then 60, and then 70% of the gold tempo. Let's go 4 times through each tempo. Let's take a look at measures 27 and 28 now. Measure 27 is almost the same as 25, except for the ending is picked slightly different, so take a look here closely. We've got the normal first 4 notes, 6th string, 3rd string, 2nd string, 1st string with the 3rd fret. But here's where it changes. We're going to go to the 2nd string, open, 1st string open, back to the 2nd string open, then the 3rd string open. So just a slight change in the pattern there from measure 25. So watch this again. Measure 28 starts off the same as measure 26 with that D chord shape with the 2nd fret of the high E string and the open D string, and then pick the D string one more time. But here's where it differs. We're going to go to the B string at the 3rd fret, and then to the 3rd string, the G string at the 2nd fret, and pull off to the open string there. So the first beat here, let me do that one more time. And we're going to go to that C chord shape here with the 3rd fret of the A string and 3rd fret of the B string, to the open G string twice. I'm going to use my index and my middle finger to pick that twice, and then the thumb walk down, 3, 2. Okay, let me walk through that measure one more time slowly here. Now let's have a play along of measure 27 and 28 at 50% of our goal tempo, then 60, then 70% of the goal tempo. Let's go through 4 times each. Let's take a look at the next 2 measures now, 29 and 30. 29 is the same as 25 exactly, which is the 6th string open, 3rd string open, 2nd string open, 3rd fret of the high E, and then we'll do the quick 16th note group of 3rd string, 1st string, 2nd string, 3rd string. Measure 30 starts off the same as measure 26 and 28 with that D chord shape, the open D string with this 2nd fret high E string, and the open D one more time. Then we'll go to that G shape once again here and pick the 1st string, 2nd string, and 3rd string. Then we're going to add the C note at the 3rd fret of the A string here and pick that together with the high E string. Then pick the B string and the open G string. Okay, here's that measure one more time. Now let's have a play along of measure 29 and 30 at 50% of the goal tempo, then 60, then 70% of the goal tempo, 4 times through. For measure 31, we're just going to be using the G chord and the B7 chords, which you learned earlier, so let's just go over the picking pattern. Starting with the G chord, we're going to pick the 6th string, the 3rd string, and the 1st and 2nd string at the same time. Then we'll shift to the B7 chord here, and we don't actually need this note here of the D string. You can leave that lifted if you prefer. And then I'll play the A string, G string, and B string at the same time. Then I'll add the A string individually to the E string, B string, and G string. Okay, one more time through that slowly. Now let's finish this verse off with open string picking. We're going to start it off on measure 32 here with the 6th string open and the 1st string open. And then this is just like the beginning. We're going to pick the 3rd string, 2nd string, 1st string, 2nd string, 3rd string. And then to measure 33, the same thing. The 6th string, 3rd string, 2nd string, 1st string, 2nd string. And then we'll have a little walk down of the 6th string, 3, 2. Alright, so both of those measures now, 32 and 33. Alright, now let's have a play along of the verse. Let's take it at 70% of the goal tempo, one time through. Get ready. The chorus for this song is pretty straightforward. It's using some standard open position chords with some strum patterns. Let's get into it. The 3 chords being used in this chorus are C chord, which you previously learned in the song, and there's a new one here, the A chord, which you may already know, but I'll walk you through it. We're going to be on the 2nd fret of the D string, 2nd fret of the G string, and 2nd fret of the B string. Don't strum the 6th string. And then the other chord we're going to use is the D chord, which you also previously learned. There's a strum pattern we need to focus on the D chord section. We're going to be using the standard D chord here on 2 strums down. Then we'll strum up one time, down one time, and then up with our pinky dropped on the 3rd fret of the 1st string. That's D sus4. Do an upstroke there. Then lift it and lift your middle finger to do a downstroke, and that's D sus2. And we'll do an upstroke with the middle finger back down on the D chord. Alright, slowly one more time. D, D, up, down, D sus4, D sus2, D. And that's all there is to it. Let's have a play along of the chorus at 70% of the goal tempo, one time through. Get ready. We're getting into the bridge section now, and we're going to be up at the 12th fret, and I'm going to walk you through the melody line on this, and then we can add the open E string that the bass note is playing. So we're going to be at the 12th fret of the E string and 12th fret of the B string. I'm going to bar that with my index finger, and I'm just going to pick that 1st string and 2nd string. Then I'll put my ring finger down on the 14th fret of the E string and pick the same 2 strings, 1st string and 2nd string. Then I'll put my pinky down on the 15th fret of the 1st string and pick the same pattern, 1st string and 2nd string. Then I'm going to stretch my pinky out way over to the 17th fret and pick the same pattern, 1st string and 2nd string. Now if we add the bass note to this, we're going to play the bass note on the 1st 12th fret pick, and then an additional bass note before starting the next melody, and pick that bass note again, and a bass note by itself. The bass note again, bass note by itself, bass note again, bass note by itself. measure 77 and 78, we just need to hold one chord down, and I'm going to bar the 5th fret with my index finger starting at the 3rd string, the G string. I'll bar all 3 of those, and then hold the pinky down at the 8th fret on the high E string. And then we just need to do a picking pattern, starting with the open A string and the high E string together. Then pick the 2nd string and 3rd string, and the 1st string, 2nd string, and 3rd string. Then, in measure 78, we're going to pick the open A string, the 3rd string, 2nd string, 1st string, 2nd string, 3rd string. Okay, here those 2 measures are one more time. Measure 79 and measure 80 are pretty simple. We're just going to be using the C chord and the D chord, and we're going to pick a pattern through those. So watch this pattern here starting on the C chord. We're going to do the A string and the high E string at the same time, then to the 2nd string and 3rd string, back to the A string, to the 1st string and 2nd string. Then we'll do the same picking pattern while switching to the D chord, except for we'll change the bass note to the open D, of course, here to the 1st string, 2nd string, 3rd string, back to the open D, 1st string, and 2nd string. Alright, one time through both of these. There's only one more thing we need to go over at the bridge section here at measure 81, and that's going to be to play both E strings at the same time and then hammer onto the 7th fret of the high E string. Pick the 2nd string and 3rd string, then pick this high E at the 7th fret and pull off to the open E. Then pick the 2nd string and 3rd string one more time like this. Alright, watch this slowly. And that's everything you need to know to get through the bridge section here, except for there's one final measure at the end, but we've already done that at the beginning of the song with the open string picking pattern. You'll know it when you see it. Let's go through this section with a play along now at 70% of the goal tempo. Get ready. If you're looking for a bit of a challenge, we're at the right spot of the song. It's time for the guitar solo. Let's take a look. Alright, starting this off, we're going to want to do a big bend at the 14th fret of the G string. So I'm going to have all 3 fingers lined up there, starting at 12, 13, and 14 so that I can push on that. And then I'll have my pinky on the B string at the 15th fret. And we're only going to push up on the G string while picking both of those at the same time. So that looks like this. And then we're going to pick the 14th fret by itself, bend and release, and end at the 12th fret of the G string. So let me do both of those parts now for you. Alright, for this next part, we're going to hit a dead note on the A string, which just means you kill the string slightly with your left hand, just keep it muted, and we're going to pick that A string, and then I'm going to go to the G string at the 12th fret and pull off to the 11th fret, pick it again and pull off to the 11th fret again. Then I'll go to the 14th fret of the D string, back to the 11th of the G string, to the 12th fret of the D string, and slide into 14. So let's walk through that slowly. So we've got the dead note, 12 to 11, 12 to 11, 14 on the D, back to 11, slide to 14 there. this next lick, I'm going to be on the G string at the 12th fret to the 14th fret and back to the 12th. Then I'm going to do this Chuck Berry type lick, which is going to be the 14th fret bend with the middle and ring finger. Notice I've got my middle finger on the 13th fret. That way I can push up with both of those fingers, and I'll bar the 12th fret at the 2nd and 1st string so that I can pick those individually. So it would look like this. And then I'll go to the 15th fret of the B string and pull off to 12, to the 15th of the G string, and back to 12 on the B string. 15 and 14 on the G string to the 12th fret. I'm going to do a big bend and release with my index finger on that to the 14th fret of the D string. Now we're going to do these little dyads at the end of this here. I'm going to use one finger for this. 14 and 14 on the G and B string. It's got a little rest, so I'm going to kill it there. Then I'll do it again to the 13th fret with my middle finger on both of those same strings. Then to the 12th fret on the G string. And vibrate it a little bit, give it a little shake. Alright, so one more time with that here. For this next lick, I'm going to rake the strings that are dead through the G string, B, and E string. And that means you just kind of rake those into the 15th fret of the high E string. Then I'm going to go to the 14th fret, then to the 12th fret of the B string, back to the 15th and 14th fret of the high E. Then I'm going to slide real quick from 15 to 17. That's like a ghost note. Then back to 15, and it's going to be a staccato. Means you do real short and sweet like that, choppy sounding. Then I'm going to do a hammer pull off on 14 and 15, and slide to 12. Then we'll go to the B string at 12. 15 and 14 again on the high E string, back to 12 on the B string, and let's just take it from that. Now for the final lick, we're going to be on the G string at the 12th fret to the 14th fret and back to the 12th fret. But here we've got this double stop bend. I like to use my middle finger and ring finger, and I'll also use my index finger for leverage here at the 13th fret of the G string. But what you do is you pick both of those strings and push up and release. So that'll be a bend and release double stop bend. And then we pull off to the 12th fret on the G string. Then we'll go to the 14th fret of the D string, back to the G string at 12, and then we'll do that Chuck Berry lick one more time, 14 bend to the 12th fret bar on both of those strings there. Then to the 15th fret of the B string, and then we'll do this big bend and release to the 15th fret bend full. And that holds for a long time, and then you release it, pick and hammer 12, 15, 12, and then slide down to 7. And you can't really hear that on the clean channel right now. And then slide to 5, and hammer pull 5, 7, 5. Let's have a play along of the guitar solo now. Let's take it through one time at 70% of the goal tempo. Get ready. I tell you what, I'm loving the Xvive A58 Wireless system for this lesson. It lets me move freely while shredding that solo. Check the link below to grab yours. It's a game changer. One last tip: to sound like Metallica on this, add a touch of reverb and keep your tone warm. Experiment with your amp settings. And there you go, you're ready to play Nothing Else Matters like a pro now. Drop me a comment though, did you nail that intro riff? Or are those solo bends kicking your butt? Let me know. Hit that like button if you love this, and be sure to subscribe to the channel for more guitar lessons. And I already know you're into metal, so check out my original track called Silent Screams in Heaven on Spotify, or my Holy Wars lesson right here on YouTube. If you want more though, tell me in the comments what song should I do next. For private lessons, courses, and gear, go to kjzmusic.com. Keep rocking, and I'll see you in one of these videos next.
Silent screams in heaven, rising wrath and broken shore.